2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Confessions with the Cougar and the Cub. This is your host, Justin Vandeventer.
And I am the better half of this podcast, Carrie, the Cougar Lazzarino.
This podcast, we are going to give you the male and female perspective on everyday issues and relationship problems.
And I'll give you the right answer from real ladies, just like myself, a true badass.
And I'll try to translate to you cavemen out there that don't quite understand women yet.
So let's dive in.
And enjoy this episode with the Cougar and the Cub. Hey guys, welcome back to the Confessions with the Cougar and the Cub. This is your host, Justin Vandeventer, and with me is the better looking part of this podcast.
Hello, everyone. It's Carrie, the Cougar. Boy, you almost had that. You were like gasping for air. Somebody get this man an asthma inhaler.
I wasn't that bad.
So bad. Too funny.
I think it's my brain that gets the fart because I'm like, what podcast am I doing again?
Oh, yeah. Because, you know, that other one that you do with that other host on what, Monday nights?
It's released on Mondays, every other Monday.
The Stupidest Podcast.
Go check it out with Roddy and Vandy.
There it is.
So, go check it out.
Yeah.
Enough with the shameless plugs.
Like, come on. Crickets.
So, we got a pretty fun episode ahead of us.
Yeah.
For those of you, which I know there's a lot of you, especially a lot of my friends, that need therapy because all you guys are nuts.
Crazy. Yeah.
So we are actually going to sit down and talk with a therapist.
Yeah, definitely. You know, therapy doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think in the years past, it's been, you know, like, oh, they must be broken or, oh, they must have issues or whatever. But
they crazy.
I'm not crazy, Carrie, for nothing. But no, it's not true. So I think,
sometimes you just need somebody to talk to and have
unbiased.
a different, unbiased opinion and a different perspective and somebody that's, we find out has plenty of schooling.
Yeah, like 8 years.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Sheesh. I can't imagine the debt for that. Oh, la la.
Right?
That's crazy. But no, it was, I think it's going to be insightful for people to kind of hear. We had like quite a few questions, but then also just getting some of Liz's kind of perspective of things like, you know, like when you're a bonus parent or step parent. So that was really cool too, because we had quite a few people actually write in. And you know, if you don't know, I do hair. And so I talk to people like all day long. And so I've been asking some of my clients, like, give me some questions that you want me to ask this therapist. So I felt like, you know, we kind of got like quite a bit answered. So yeah, I feel really good about it.
Yep.
I think people are really going to love the episode.
I think so too. So
I'm proud of it.
Yeah. So I think we should, anything else?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, let's get into this.
Bada bing. Bada
boom. Here you guys go. Here's Liz.
Hey there. We are here with Liz today, an LPCC, licensed professional clinical counselor. Hey, Liz.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for being on with Justin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of funny how, you know, therapists and all that were such like a, not like kind of like you don't talk about it type of thing. Like, but I think now we all talk about it. So anyway, we wanted to have you on. We're kind of excited. And so if you're cool with it, we're just going to get going.
Before we start, what's LPCC?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, an LPCC is a licensed professional clinical counselor. And I'm more than happy to talk more about this too if you have any other questions about it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I always thought like they were all kind of the same, like MFT or psychiatry. I don't know. I guess I thought they're all the same, but interesting. Yeah. So I guess we're going to learn a little bit today. So yeah for sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Liz. And how'd you come into this career?
Yeah. So I have been in this field for about 8 years. I was in school for 8 years as well. I was in high school, and kind of how I got into this career morally was kind of just having those normal teenage difficulties throughout high school, a lot most teens do, and then kind of struggled with my parents being separated, and so I started talking to my high school counselor. I never really knew who to talk to about things and how to talk about them. When I started talking to her, she always made me feel very safe and validated. I'd always feel heard and always felt better after talking to her. And after working through some stuff with her and an outside therapist, I decided I wanted to be that safe space for other, kids and teens and families one day. And so I decided to apply for college. I got my bachelor's of psychology, and then I went on to my graduate program in professional clinical counseling and psychological studies, and I completed that. So I have my master's in professional counseling, and now I am working as a outpatient and day treatment family therapist, and I absolutely love it.
How many years of schooling is that?
I was in school for 8 years, so I did about 4 years of undergrad, and then I did 4 years of graduate school.
Wow.
That's a lot. And so your main clientele, was it adults? What do you usually see? Kids?
Yeah, so when I first started in the field, I started out with mostly kiddos between the ages of like 6 and 12 to 15, and then their families, of course. Now I specialize in early childhood, so I work with kiddos 0 to 5 primarily, and I also work with kiddos from 15 to 18 years old.
Hang on.
I really enjoy the littles, though.
Did you say 0 to 5?
Yes.
Like that little, kids that little talk to a therapist?
So mostly when they are that little, it's a lot of parent work. So I do a lot of family therapy. Mm-hmm. But yes, they start coming very early, which is awesome that they're able to do that.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I think I didn't start seeing a therapist until I was probably like 26 or 28. So it just baffles me that like kids would. Why would I guess I feel so stupid asking this, but like, why would somebody come so early to like talk to a therapist? Is it like something new? Yeah.
That's a good question. I'd say in my professional experience, a lot of the times kids come in early on. If parents are having any developmental concerns, some like sleep concerns, some attention concerns, just behavioral concerns, potty training. Those are some examples. Also, I specialize in trauma, and so a lot of my clientele are trauma cases. So when a child who is, a year old or had trauma in the womb, exposed to that, a lot of the parents bring them in to work through those things before they're older, so they have those skills and can process it at an earlier age.
Can you give us an example of like what kind of trauma?
Yeah, I work with a variety of different trauma, from like witnessing domestic violence, having parents incarcerated, sexual abuse, physical abuse, medical trauma. So if a kiddo had to stay in a hospital and it was a traumatic experience, that could be something. I've had cases where a 3-year-old witnessed their step-parent and parent be killed in front of them. So it gets really heavy, but it's a very large variety. And I'm so glad that these families are able to bring their kids in when they do to work through these big stresses in their life.
Wow.
So when somebody, like, say that kind of situation happens, like, and the kid is there, what does it look like? Like, what's a daily kind of, do they sit with you? Are you guys like playing Play-Doh? Or are you guys sitting like on a couch? Like, how I remember sitting on a couch, telling my feelings. What's that look like?
Yeah, definitely. So like I said before, I do outpatient and I do day treatment. So for example, outpatient is more, I'm in an office with just the kiddo and the family, or just the kiddo or just the family. And they'd come in and we kind of do a check-in when we get started, talk to the family kind of about what's going on, what's happened over the past week or so. And then when a kid is under 5, a lot of the work is play therapy. So for example, if they have a trauma of domestic violence, I might put out toys that are family figures, a house, and they'll put, the furniture in the house a certain way, the parents in the house a certain way, and they'll play it out through play. So they might play out their experiences. So that's kind of what that session would look like. And then in day treatment, that I do a developmental repair model, which is a trauma-focused model. Our room is about 2.5 hours long. We do different activities throughout the day and really work on building positive relationships with the kids and helping them learn those skills so that they can have those at home with their parents and with other grown-ups and peers throughout their life.
Wow.
So that's kind of what it looks like
Okay.
on a daily basis, I'd say.
At what age do you think someone should start therapy? Or would you recommend them?
Yeah, I am biased because I work with a therapist.
Yeah.
So I love when kids come in earlier on because we can do so much more. And the parents can learn so much about themselves and the kid. But I'd say it really just depends on the situation, the capacity of the family, their needs. I think that early intervention is crucial to any person's life, being able to learn these coping skills and communication skills and how to process and identify feelings before, they're 35 and are like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this.
Right.
Like I never really learned these skills, which happens a lot. And so I think that the earlier they come in, the better.
So you don't necessarily like need trauma or something bad that happened. Like it's totally like, say I'm a new parent and, I've got like a 4 or 5, 6-year-old or whatever. And I'm like, kid, like we're doing pretty good, blah, 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 blah. Like nothing like out of the ordinary, but like, I'm just like even wondering would insurance even cover that? Like I just want to take my kid to the therapist, just start talking. Is that something normal or is that like kind of not? Or do you see that?
Yeah, definitely see that. I
Okay.
mean, you do have to, for insurance purposes, you do have to have an assessment done. So
Oh,
a
okay.
diagnostic assessment.
Okay.
So you take your kid in, they're going to ask you like 50 questions to learn
Mhm.
about what's going on. And you'll get a diagnosis and then, yes, you are able to see a therapist. But some, have a higher tolerance than others. Some symptoms are more affecting more on a daily basis than others.
Okay.
But I've had, some 4 and 5-year-olds come in and the parents don't see much like issues with behaviors,
Mhm.
but they want them to learn how to identify their feelings. And that can even be part of the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Just to get them seen and be able to talk to someone.
What do you usually see like just currently right now? Like we're sitting here, it's the end of 2024. Like what's most situations that you see?
I'd say in my work right now, I see, like I said, mostly trauma. A lot of it
Okay.
is domestic violence.
Okay.
I work with a lot of CPS cases, unfortunately.
Mm.
A lot of kids, my older kids, a lot of school-based anxiety, so just anxiety around school and peers and like building relationships with their parents where they feel safe and like they can talk to them. So different things, but all it can be similar in the same way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. That really, I don't know. It's just so weird to me. Cause like, I mean, I'm 48 and therapy was so kind of, oops, why am I staticky? Maybe a little bit better. And so it just seems so weird to me because it was always like something we didn't talk about, and I didn't know any friends that went. So it's just weird, but it's weird in a good way. Because like now I talk about therapy. Like I had a great therapist. In fact, Jess and I went out to dinner just a little bit ago before we called you. And I was like, there's my therapist. I mean, I don't see her anymore, but it's like, it's not like as weird as it once was, I think. And I think a lot of people do talk about it and it doesn't have to be weird or like you must be broken or whatever. It's just like, hey, I go see a therapist and it just helps me. Almost like a life coach, I almost think that you guys are really kind of close to that. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. There are life coaches out there too who really just support with those, daily activities and giving you more advice, which is really cool. And I am glad that it's becoming more normalized and kind of breaking the stigma of mental health, and more people are comfortable talking about it because they're realizing they're not alone, and there are a lot of people that do go to therapists.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say I feel fine and I don't feel like I have any issues. Would you still recommend me to come talk to a therapist? And what would I discuss? Like, what if I feel like I don't have any problems? How would we start?
Yeah, I think that just being able to have a therapist as a safe space, I think that it can be really nice just to have someone to talk to. obviously a lot of people go talk to their friends or their family, or, their colleagues, and that always feels really good. But sometimes just to have someone to reflect with and to like brainstorm ideas with can be really helpful, and therapists are trained and can help you dig deeper, and
like an unbiased, right? Like where it's like you don't have a personal agenda. Like say you were talking to like your mom and she's like, oh, that guy's a jerk or whatever, girl's a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like as an unbiased person that's trained and doesn't know your mom or your dad or your, best friend in high school.
Yeah.
Someone just can kind of be there for you.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever Jess and I knew that you were coming on, we had a couple questions that, being that we're like newly relationship and, and like in my work, I talk to a lot of, guys and stuff like that. So we actually have a couple questions that we wanted to actually ask you. So hopefully you're up for that. And a lot of it just has to do with like, being like a bonus parent, like a stepmom, a stepdad type of thing. So is that okay? And this actually, these questions came up quite a bit. So it's not like it's just us like curious, like, oh, let's ask a professional what she would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is one that I'm just going to jump in because I think it's a big thing that a lot of people, they talk to their exes. And I don't know, like how much contact is okay to kind of talk between like the exes? Like, if he's got his baby mama and I've got my baby daddy or whatever, like unless you're talking about kids, like really, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'd say, so I'm also a stepmom as well, and I see this in my professional work too.
Yeah.
I agree. I do think it really depends on the situation and kind of the family dynamic and what their relationship has looked like in the past too.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think that it can be best to keep contact primarily focused on the child. That way no one else's feelings are getting hurt and there's no confusion. I think that if a bio mom and bio dad can have a positive, healthy relationship, I think that's wonderful, and it doesn't happen all the time. But I think it can get tricky when, there is a lot of back and forth communication unrelated to the kids in those situations.
Yeah. 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 And the other thing too is like, I think when one of the parents will talk, kind of garbage about the other parent in front of the kid. Like I know like when I was growing up, like one of my parents did that and it always made me feel super uncomfortable. So, I'm sure that hopefully you would agree that that's not a good thing that you don't talk, especially in front of your kid, but, about the other parent. Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of parents do. So.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And
yeah,
I think that a lot of parents do that and they don't think about it.
But the kids don't hear it, maybe.
Yeah, and they want to feel validated, like, oh, well, your dad hurt me or your mom hurt me, so I'm going to tell you all about that. I think there's definitely developmentally appropriate ways you can tell kids about certain situations and experiences, but I think being mindful of what you're sharing and why are you sharing it? Are you sharing it because you need to vent, or are you sharing it because it's going to benefit them to hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I think honesty is the best policy, but do you need to tell your 8-year-old the reason why, mommy and daddy are not together is because of X, Y, and Z or whatever. Like, yeah, you don't need to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Baby, you got one?
So when it comes to dating and helping raising another child, can you recommend on how to navigate to keeping the peace in the family while you're trying to teach that kid how to respect you and your house and also honoring the other parents?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's definitely an ongoing learning process.
With us all.
I'd say just from, my experience professionally and personally that this is very tricky to navigate.
Yeah.
It's something you definitely continue to do every day. I'd say the most important piece is for you and your partner to always have each other's back.
Yeah.
I think it can be easy when, say it's like the bio dad and you're the step parent and their child is disrespectful towards you, to kind of look at their parent, their dad, like, oh, well, your kid's doing this. And it's like, actually, we're a team. We're not against each other. And just remembering that you're all working through it together and kind of setting those limits and expectations of what everyone in the household needs to feel important and respected. And the kid wants to feel respected too. So I think that's a really big piece.
What about like stepping in? Like say you're you and your spouse are having, words with the kid, or say the spouse is, I'm just going to say it's me and Justin. So like I'm talking to his daughter, something is happening, or he's talking to his daughter, and then I jump in. Like that's always been a hard thing because I think when you're both the bio parents, it's like we're talking to our child. But then when it's like it's his child, and then like say I see her she's not disrespectful, but just for purposes, say she was, and then I'd be like, hello, Missy May, like, or whatever, like, is it right? Or do I just let him handle that? Because like that's been an ongoing thing. Like it's just really hard. And I know other people think the same.
That is really hard.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, like you said, it's hard to know when is appropriate to jump in.
Yeah.
I think that it can be hard for kids when both parents are kind of giving them the same directions. Like, oh, you did this and this, we're going to talk different to this person.
Yeah.
Hearing it from two people kind of sucks, right? Because it feels like you're getting yelled at from two people.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. That's really good. Like maybe just almost like we need a code word, like pineapple or something. Like if you're getting mad or whatever and you're like pineapple and I just like say, okay, now I'm going to interrupt. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, because like you don't want to have somebody just two people attacking you. Just like be like one. And then if I see like it's not going like the way I think it should, then that would be my turn to be like, tag team?
Yeah. Like even like saying, hey, I heard, like say it's you guys, right? It's like, oh, hey, Justin, your daughter said this to me and I didn't feel very good for me. Could we check in about this together? So maybe you and Justin kind of talk about how you want to approach it and kind of giving it space for her to kind of do what she needs to do to cool down. And then you guys make a plan like, okay, Jerry, you're going to talk to her today. And like, I'm going to check in with her later and just remind her like that didn't feel good for her.
Yeah.
I think that could be helpful. And that's hard too, because sometimes they're just like, we need to figure this out right now, right?
Yeah.
I think what's recently helped me a lot is really identifying my own feelings about it. So if I'm disrespected per se, hey, like that made me feel really sad. That didn't feel very good. Could we try it a different way? And kind of that's seemed to be successful lately, but you never know. I think it just depends too on the situation and kind of where the child's at in the day. Like, is it before you're having dinner or they just got home from school and how tired are they and like what are their needs in that moment too?
Yeah. Actually, I have something about that. I know Justin was going to ask you, but speaking of that, like, so say when your kid gets home off the school bus or whatever, and like one thing when my kids were little, I'd be like, yeah, no, there's no TV, there's no movies, whatever. It's just like homework or outside play. Do you feel like kids should get some of that? Like, it's like they've been at school 6 to 8 hours a day. So should they get a little bit of like, media time or like iPad or SpongeBob or whatever? Or what's your take on that? Because I know like right now, I feel like everybody is hooked to their phones. And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I think that, for example, when you get home, do you want to, put all your stuff away, or would you rather sit on your phone for 20 minutes and just decompress?
Absolutely. I just need to do social media and just like veg out. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right.
So I think as parents, we kind of are like, okay, we got home, we need to do this, this, and this, and then we're going to have dinner, and then you're going to shower, and then you're going to go to bed. And we forget that they went to school for, 6 to 8 hours too, and they didn't get a brain break or time to relax. And so as much as we don't want to put them on screens all the time, I think even 20, 30 minutes when they get home to go in their room or downstairs or watch TV, do an art project, do a sensory activity, I think that could really help them and calm them. And then they'll be able to do, their tasks more willingly almost.
What's sensory? Like, I feel like that's like a...
It's like building with blocks or, or like you said, an art project.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, like kind of using a different part of your brain. So the kinetic sand or playing with slime or even like water buckets. Some kids really like that.
Yeah.
Play-Doh, coloring, all those activities. And those can be just really good for them to calm and kind of like you're going through your phone. Yeah. And for a kid, it's like they're not thinking about anything else either. They're just playing with Play-Doh.
Oh,
it's kind of helpful.
Nice.
What if your stepchild wants to call you the bonus parent, mom or dad? Is it okay? And when is it okay? And when is it not? Like, is there too soon, not soon enough? Or
That's a good one.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good one. I think that comes up a lot. And a lot of times we don't really know how to approach it because it kind of surprises us when they do it, I'd say. I think that overall kids are really set on what they do or don't want, or in what they don't want to call someone or what they do want to call someone. In my personal experience, I have had my stepchild ask if she can call me mom. When she did ask me, I was kind of uncomfortable because I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to disappoint her. And we did have the conversation about and discussion on how it might make her mom feel to hear, if she were to hear her call me mom. Not that she would do it in front of her.
No.
But, if your mom hears you call me mom, she might feel really sad. And, I don't ever want to disrespect your mom or feel like I'm trying to replace her. I think what I found helpful is to create a nickname that's special for the kiddo to call you.
Yeah.
But in some cases, the stepkids might end up calling like their step parent mom or dad because maybe they have been raising them since they were 2 or 3 or even 5, and it might be a little bit different, if their other parent isn't around. So that is really who they believe is their mom or dad.
Like if mom or dad is around, that's the thing, because like I've heard people doing that, and it's like, if your dad is around, it just seems like, or your mom, then why would you do that, But so it kind of makes me think that then it's like the other parent that like is like, well, you call him that or you call her that or whatever. So, so then maybe they have like their own hidden agenda or whatever. Because if the other parent is there, and like, has the kid, weekends, evenings, whatever it is, then I don't think that they should be calling somebody else that. It's one thing if it's like a deadbeat and like they like don't ever see their, other parent. But yeah, of course. But yeah, but I mean, I've heard of people doing that, and I'm like, dude, it's a little early, don't you think? But whatever. Yeah,
and it just kind of probably feels, crappy when you're like putting all this effort in, and then this kid's also calling this other person mom or dad. And you're like, well, I'm right here. So that would be hard, and sometimes it depends on the kid's age, I'd say, but sometimes they just don't really understand either. It's like, okay, at this house I have this mom and dad. At this house I have this mom and dad, and we do this together. And so that could be part of it too, but I think it just depends on also what is that kid hearing from each parent. Is one of the parents telling them, hey, you need to call this your mom, even though it's just that mom, or you need to call this person your dad.
How confusing is this for the kids?
I think it's very confusing. They create their own narrative in their head about what they think. Especially when they have one parent telling them this and another parent telling them that. That's why, as hard as it is, it's so important to have similar structure at both houses and similar like messages, like what we tell them at both houses. Yeah. Which is really hard to do in a lot of cases.
Of course, because I feel like there's always like the fun parent, who like lets them pretty much get away with murder. In some cases, they go Disneyland dad type of thing. And then there's then there's the ones that like have the structure and we go to bed at such and such time and dinner and whatever. And it's like, well, of course I don't want that one. I like the other one because I get to eat whatever I want and watch movies till 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And it's like, no, for your benefit, like we go to bed at X time and, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we tell ourselves one day they'll understand and they'll thank us. It's like, but right now we're the mean parents and that stay here all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, we want to be fun too. And we have to make sure they're going to bed so they are nice to their teachers the next day and they can get up and get on the bus or things like that.
Yeah. Excuse me. I have a funny story, but it goes into a question. But years ago, I was newly divorced, if you will. And I remember I was still letting my son take showers with me. And I remember my then boyfriend being like, he still takes a shower with you. He's 5. And I'm like, and I would just joke and I'd be like, he gives the best back massages, and like everybody would like laugh at me and he'd be like, you're gross. But with that said, is how old do you feel? And this is a question that I had, like for the opposite sex. So like, I mean, Justin has a daughter. I have both boys and girls, obviously. So like how old do you think is when should like the opposites, like I shouldn't be giving my son a shower, a bath or whatever when he's 10 or 9 or 8 or like, I mean, I don't know.
14.
He's 14. Mom, that's gross. But like, I mean, I don't know. I just remember like I back then didn't think it was a big deal that like my kid was 5 taking a shower with me. But kind of now I look back at that and I think it was just because I was babying him too. And I was like, I'm turning away. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. But I also know like my older son has, you know, a daughter, and I know that she was taking a shower with him at a very, you know, kind of up until like a questionable age. And, you know, I don't know. So I think every parent or every family probably they think differently. But like, in your opinion, what do you think is kind of like, hey, let's stop. You don't need to be doing that. And they could be on their own or have the same sex giving them the shower or the bath or helping. That was a roundabout question.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
I think it's something we don't always think about. We're just
Never.
kind of doing it because we're like, we got to
just do it. Yeah. Let's just get it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what you said too, how it kind of depends on the family and you know what their capacity is even that day. But I do think it's really important to smoothly transition your kid into learning more independence.
Yeah,
including bathing on their own as they're starting into their school years, right? So that could be like their preschool years, kindergarten, especially before kindergarten, I'd say. So probably 4 or 5, you're starting to teach them like, hey, this is what we do in the bath. This is how we use the soap and wash our hair. I think helping them understand the importance of being independent and knowing how to do small tasks like going to the bathroom, bathing, sleeping on their own, things like that. I think that it's really good for them just to be able to say, oh, I did it on my own, and it feels really good for you and for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Good answer. That's actually really, really helpful. I don't know if we asked this yet, but we were both kind of curious. Like, do you have any interesting stories? Obviously, we know with HIPAA, we're not going to like ask you for names and whatnot, but what's like maybe like the craziest story or the oddest kind of thing or something like that?
Yeah, like a memorable client or a problem that you had to overcome with something.
Good or bad.
Or like maybe you had a trauma patient that had a really difficult way of getting over something. Or do you have something that's very memorable about like that?
Yeah, I have a lot of them. It's hard. I'm trying to think of like...
I know, we put you on the spot. Sorry, that was the one we came up with after.
That's okay.
We're like, what
that's okay. I'm thinking of one in particular who just has overcome so much and is just so little. When he was very young, he was exposed to substances in the womb. And his mom and dad were taken from him like after he was born. And he went to live with other family. And he, over the first few years of his life, up until he was about 4, I was working with him in therapy, and he just had like the most physical behaviors. For example, like hitting, spitting, kicking, punching, just really hurting others. But he wasn't trying to be mean, of course. He just had no other way to cope. When he'd feel angry, he would just hit you and, tell you he hates you and call you mean names and swear words and things. And in the work I do, we really work on, like, rebuilding those relationships for him. So just reminding him, like, we care about you. We're here for you. Like, we're here to help you. And within 6 months, it was a whole 360, where we never thought he could make as much progress as he did. And it is absolutely amazing to see that. And so now he'll come in and he is so much safer and so much, like, I'd say healthier and happier, and just really is able to, like, make friends and make relationships with staff. And he's just doing such a good job now. And sometimes when they come in like that, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to ever, like, go about, this first step. Like, what are we going to even do to get started? And we had moments, too, where, like, I don't know if we can...
Yeah.
I don't know if
you're like, this one's broke. This one's broke. We can't fix them. No. So where's this kid at now? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just curious, like, where's this kid at now, and has he been reunited with his mom and dad?
I still work with him, and he has been reunited with mom.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Just recently. Yeah. And we were all kind of anticipating what that might look like, and it has been so cool to see the positivity in his life. Like, he's very push-pull, so kind of push you away, say things, and then he's like, no, but I want you right with me here. Like, just, like, testing you, kind of. And it's just been an amazing change to see in him ever since his mom has been back.
That's cool.
Have you ever gotten scared with a client?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've gotten scared. I mean, especially working in day treatment, it's a handful. I mean, it's really hard, but it's really rewarding. And, I've got my Apple Watch broken once.
That's a good plug for Apple. Hello.
So these kids can get rough.
Yeah, it can get really rough, and you just know that going into this field, right? You're like, okay, like I can do this. Like, you learn the skills. It's an ongoing learning process. You're always learning every day, but it's really hard. But these kids make such huge progress, and it's so cool to see at the end of the day.
What do you think's the worst thing that has happened to you so far then?
Besides your Apple Watch, that's pretty big time. I'd be pissed.
That one wasn't great. He was trying to hit me, and instead I got my watch with this plastic fidget. I'd say I'm really sensitive about my hair. I have very fine, thin hair, and I have just gotten chunks ripped out. And so that was something that I could still see, after it happened. So that was, I'd say, a big part. I mean, I've gotten some pretty big bruises and things like that. But I think just knowing my hair was ripped out didn't feel very good.
No. Gosh, that hurts so bad.
Yeah. And I've gotten my nose has bled a few times, just being punched in the nose, but that, that clears up pretty quickly. But the cool part about it is even when they do these things, instead of getting mad, right? You might get mad sometimes.
Yeah.
But you're naming that, I'm feeling really mad and I'm going to go take space. And you're showing them, hey, I'm going to do this to this person and they're still going to be safe with me and they still care about me and they still want to be here for me. And that's the coolest part of the work.
Yeah.
Because they don't always have that growing up, right?
Yeah, no. So if somebody's listening to this now and they're like, oh my God, my kid is a hellion, or maybe they're thinking that it's ADHD or ADD or, autism or something like that. Do you think the first step would be, or what would the first step? Do they need to, call their pediatrician or doctor and be like, I need a diagnosis? Or, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I'd suggest just kind of looking into resources around them for, mental health clinics, behavioral health clinics. And a lot of times, if they're younger, asking their pediatrician for referrals can be really helpful.
Okay.
If they want to report some of those symptoms to them.
Yeah.
And then once they get an idea of where they want to go, just knowing it's a long process and a long journey, nothing happens overnight, and being aware of that is really helpful.
Yeah. I've heard before too that some parents doesn't want the kid to go to therapy. And I don't know if that's how do you feel about that? That's just a question I just kind of thought about, but what if they're well, no, my kid's fine. It's just when they're with you and you just want them to act a certain way. What if you don't have the other parent on board? Obviously both parents have to agree, I'm assuming. I've never had my kid in therapy, so I don't really know. Does it have to be both parents have to agree for this?
Yeah.
Or?
So, it actually depends on the custody status. So say parents are married, they share custody because they're living together, they're married, they're one family. Only one parent has to consent.
Oh, okay.
So one parent has to consent to medication, one parent has to consent to therapy. I don't like working with families that, one parent's on board, one isn't. So yeah. I wouldn't say I don't like it, but I would always go to both parents and just kind of almost try to get them to hire me. Hey, I want to help your family in this way and this way. What do you think? And I've had that happen. And
yeah,
I've had parents like, nope, we're not doing it. I'm give me 6 months.
Wow.
And in 6 months, they were really on board. So I like to go about it like that because I don't want to be, just on one person's team, right? I want it to be the whole family involved because the child is affected by both parents, caregivers.
Yeah.
And then if a parent is separated, if they share custody, so if it's 50-50 custody, one parent has to consent. Both parents have to consent, sorry. 50-50, both parents have to consent. And then if it's only one parent has custody, then that only one parent has to consent to that. It just depends on the state, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
It can get tricky with divorced parents, because they might have different opinions. Like you said, they're this way at my house, this way at your house. Well, then it's your fault, right? So,
right.
Instead of thinking about it like that, just kind of getting a professional opinion can be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you, this is off topic, but if you weren't being a licensed professional clinical counselor, what else would you be doing? Just curious.
So, outside of my work?
No, what would you be doing for work?
If you didn't have this as a job,
Yep.
what would be your next gig that you'd want to do?
Your next career.
Wow,
I know it's kind of a big thing. I know. Because I don't feel like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a policeman. I wanted to be a fireman. I want to be a teacher. I'm sure you had some different kind of goals and stuff. And you did mention, you saw a therapist growing up, kind of getting through some stuff. So, maybe that's why you kind of skirted into this. But if you didn't do this, what would you see yourself doing?
Yeah, I think that I would want to be involved in sports. Like I said, my dad was a football coach, and I got to go to
Nice.
so many different sports events, and I really liked kind of being like the cheerleader on the side for him. And I got to meet a lot of people, and I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Like the athletic directors and the trainers,
Mm-hmm.
the involvement they were. So I feel like I would have maybe gone that route.
So almost like on the
And
sidelines, like helping them, like when they get hurt or something like that, or just,
yeah,
yeah,
kind of like physical therapy,
yeah.
personal trainer, athletic director. And I did, of course, when I was about 15, I thought one day I'd be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. So there's that
Nice.
too.
Why Dallas?
I just think the cheerleaders were cool.
They do have really cute uniforms, though. I do like them.
Yeah, they have the coolest uniforms.
They
I was
really
like,
do.
I could do that one day.
I could totally do that. Although most of those gals are like teachers and nurses and all that. Like I hear they only make like
They don't make much.
nothing. I feel like I
Yeah.
hate to say it because when I say it, it's going to be like, well, that's going to be good for. But I think they only make like $25,000 a year. It's not that much.
If that.
If that,
Yeah,
I
'cause
know.
it's only a portion of the year, too.
Yeah.
So they're only
Like what is it? 8 games or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that much. So
Yeah.
and it's probably only home, right? Or do
Yeah,
they go
it's
to?
only the home games.
Yeah. So 4?
Mhm.
No.
Oh, my bad. All right, I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of funny. That was off topic. I just had to like be stupid.
You got any more?
No, I think that was it.
I finish every
Oh yeah.
interview
Wow.
with somebody with the same question. So somebody trying to get into this field,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them? That is for somebody that's trying to become a therapist or a child therapist or
Yeah. I would say that before even, going into college, like, okay, I'm going to do this, really talking to a variety of people in the field who are licensed and who have, 10 years plus experience, I'd say, and asking them the process of what it's like to become a licensed therapist because it is a long journey. And I think that no one really explained that to me. Hey, you got to go to 8 years of school, and then you got to do a year of an unpaid internship, and then you might get paid $10 an hour for a year or two. And then eventually you'll get licensed, and then you'll be making a lot more money, but still not a lot of money, right? So I think just asking questions like, what is the process of this? And asking to shadow. I mean, a lot of the times you're not able to really go in the office to shadow them, but I think there are times where if you are an intern, you can ask families if they're okay with having someone shadow or recording your session so people can hear. And so I think just getting an idea of what it actually is on a daily basis. Because a lot of times they're like, you go to college and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this forever. And you have no idea what you're going to do, right? You're just like, I think this will be cool one day. And you just hope it turns out that way because you go to school for it. So
Right.
I think getting a good glimpse of what that career really looks like before you go into it.
Maybe
'Cause it's
talking to
hard.
people and like what's your pros and cons about it? Like because there's got to be, like you look at maybe some like what about being in like a hospital, like a psychiatrist or a psych ward or something like that, or there's so many different realms of this kind of. Oops, I lost power.
I hit the button. Sorry.
Sorry, he lost power.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many different realms of this industry that you can go into, so whether it's like in-house, like a actual hospital situation, or even like, what is it called? Like in a school, like a psych counselor or something like that, and then you're in with the kids that way too. So it's kind of cool that you have lots of different options, but also just kind of experiencing it because like, again, you're like 8 years and then you don't know. And you're like, man, this sucks. Now I got to do this because I got to pay off my student debt or whatever. I mean, but yeah, do your due
and
diligence.
like you said, there's so many different roles you can have in this field, even in the psychology field in general.
Yeah.
But in therapy, like you said, I did in-home therapy, I did day treatment, outpatient, like different types of outpatient settings. Like there's so many different options. And talking to people in those different positions can be helpful to kind of get a glimpse. And you don't really know until you're doing it in the field, right? And you're like, oh, this is what I want to do.
You said in-home. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. So for people that don't know the lingo, or have ever done therapy or anything, can you let them know what inpatient, outpatient, in-home therapy is?
Yeah. So in-home therapy. So it is where a therapist. So I did CTSS, which is a child skills work, basically. So I would go to the child's home and I would provide skills. So just kind of teach them, communication skills, social skills, sharing, things like that, taking turns, kind of the basic social skills you want them to have as they're developmentally increasing, and just teaching them that. So that was in home. So you just go to their house, you're working with them, you're working with the family instead of them coming to office. And that's really convenient for some families that don't have transportation or, don't have the means to leave. They have a lot of kids. They just want someone to come and work with their one kid.
Nice.
So that's in-home outpatient. So that's part of what I do. So that's where a client comes to the office. You're in an office setting. They come in for an hour or so, then they leave. Inpatient is kind of could be a hospital setting. So there are inpatient facilities at hospitals where they're in a program, a day program, and they're staying there. And then day treatment. So that's what I do. So you come in for 3 hours of group therapy and then you leave. So different types of settings.
So is day treatment a longer period of time? Normally?
Yeah, day treatment, I'd say most of our kids are with us between 6 to 9 months or so.
Okay.
Outpatient usually prolongs a lot longer, just because you're continuously working on the same things and you're going to make progress, but you might just still need that support.
And the same steps go, say somebody is you know what, I think inpatient would be good for me or whatever. Would they just call their pediatrician, whatever, and then say, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And then they would help you to guide in the direction of what best suits your family?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
That's usually what happens. So you kind of get your first referral, okay, I'm seeing these behaviors. I'm going to call my pediatrician, or I'm going to call this clinic that's 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
And then you're doing your assessment. And then once you do your assessment, the clinician will refer you. So I say, hey, I think you'd be good for outpatient. I think you'd be great to do individual therapy for 4 hours a month, or family therapy 4 hours, or your kid might, need to consider day treatment. That's kind of usually how it works. You kind of get to that one person who's okay, this is where you should go next.
Kids don't really do inpatient though, right?
I'd say it really depends on the behavior level. If there's a crisis, an ongoing crisis, they might be in an inpatient setting.
Wow.
A lot of times we don't want them to be, because that can be really scary.
Right.
But it can be really helpful at the same time.
Okay.
I'd say more so, there are early childhood programs that do that, and also a lot of times it is more late teenage kiddos. I
have a question now. This is totally off the cuff, but years ago our family went through something really, really crazy, and we lost our insurance, and and so we had no resources. So is there some sort of resources within each county where if people are I have no insurance, or my husband or myself are out of work and we have Cobra, so it's $500, but we still need therapy. Is there some sort of free or sliding scale per each county, would you say? Because I just remember when we were going through ours, it was so hard. And that was one of the worst things ever, was just knowing I have no idea where to turn, who can help my kids. So I hope that there's something like that in counties to help. And if so, can you drop a couple names just so in case anybody's listening, they might be oh yeah, okay, cool. And then we'll link those names too.
A lot of the times, if you do look at your county's website, they have a lot of resources for that, and a lot of them do have sliding scales. I know a couple of the clinics I worked at do the sliding scales, so they'll kind of go off your income, and you can pay out of pocket. It might be a very low rate because they'll go off that sliding scale. So there are options out there.
Okay.
I just think it takes a little bit more digging sometimes, but county caseworkers are really great in helping find those resources.
Okay.
So just pretty much go to your county
website. Yeah. That's good to know. Gosh, that could have saved me so much time. Dang. Yeah, that's crazy. Good to know.
Well,
You got anything else, babe? Or Liz, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk with? We've probably taken about an hour of your time. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you for coming on.
But anything else that you think is important for our listeners and maybe people going through crisis or with their kids or whatever that you'd like them to know? Or
yeah, I think just as hard as it is, just remembering you aren't alone, and there are a lot of people maybe going through something different, but in similar ways, and that there's a lot of support out there for you. And it feels better to utilize that than feel like you're stuck and you're alone.
Yeah. And support groups. Like I recently had started a support group with just a bunch of moms and stuff like that. So, maybe you're having issues as a bonus parent or as a parent, whatever. I mean, Facebook, I probably shouldn't plug Facebook, but, has a plethora of forums and stuff like that. So maybe even coming up with a group like that where you just get with other like-minded moms or dads and kind of talk about things. If you can't do therapy, at least like just talking it out with other parents, because we're all kind of going through the same stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Like you said, we're all kind of going through the same stuff, but different experiences. And there's a lot of people that need support. And so being able to be that one person that reaches out and starts that could be something really cool.
I mean, and they say it takes a village. So, I don't think there's any shame asking for help. So, thank you so much. You've been like super helpful.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah, super good. Well, awesome.
Yeah, thank you both for having me and for, willing to talk through these different topics with me. And I'm just glad that therapy is more talked about now.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Have a great night, and we will chat with you soon.
Thank you both. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, that was Liz. What do you think?
I think it was really good. She did great. She answered a shit ton of my questions.
Yeah.
So that was really good.
That was fun.
Thank you again, Liz.
Yes, absolutely. You did phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. For first time, she was really nervous. She did great.
Yeah. Really. When we did our pre-talk, she that's the first thing she said. I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
So she did great.
Yeah, she did great. Answered a lot of our questions. Like I said, we kind of try to get people like, we don't want to just have it just from us, our questions.
As much as we like hearing our own voice.
Yeah. Yeah. So we really do. But no, I think she did great. She answered a lot of questions. I said earlier from I had a couple clients ask me hey, about this. And then even stuff that, I've had, in our relationship. So there's a couple things like that. So it was really good. She did great. Anyway, with that said, we totally forgot to do.
Yeah, Mikey, I know you're listening. Mikey. So we definitely did not forget, but we kind of forgot.
Yes.
In the intro, we were supposed to do a quote to start out the show, but we still got it. We're going to put it in right here.
Yeah.
So, you want to do your inspirational quote?
Sure. I think it's a really good one. It's from Albert Einstein, and it says, "Be a voice, not an echo."
Be a voice. I like it.
I do too.
Kind of be original.
Absolutely. Nice. Everyone else is taken.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Mine is by Steve Martin.
Okay. Comedian.
Yep. Be so good that they can't ignore you.
I like that.
I think you should live that by every aspect of your life.
Yeah. Right out the gates, I thought of sports because I was listening to something recently and it said, say you got a kid that's come on, coach, put me in. Like if you're that good, you don't have to say it. Yep. The coach is going to want to put you in. Or the parents, put my kid in. He's so good. Well, if he's that good, they're going to want to.
Yeah. If you're complaining, I can't, they don't ever
pick me.
Or they don't pick me either. I never get to do that position or I'm not getting that rate. Well, be so damn good that they can't ignore you.
Right. That's a good one, babe. I love it.
So,
yeah. And then, of course, we have to do our pickup line, too. So, with this
before we do the pickup line, I feel like we got to do a little space. Otherwise, Mikey's going to be like, you guys just went back to back and you cheated.
Well, flip side is if you would do some edits, but you don't want to.
That's a big edit.
It's not. To me, it's I don't know.
I'm going to let you do it then because it's a lot of cutting and pasting.
And then you wanted to redo the whole intro. I'm like, no, that was so good. We're not. So
welcome to the married life.
So if ever we get so famous that we actually can do edits like that, then we could totally.
Yeah, then I'm hiring a producer.
Absolutely.
And I don't have to deal with this. I can just be the talent.
Ed Milet, call me. Call me, Ed, because you are my guru. And when we get on your show, can I just quick say, I was listening to his podcast yesterday and he had Jasmine Star on. It's remember I sent you guys through my.
Who's Jasmine Star?
I don't really know.
So it was a great listen.
It was a great listen. But
I have no idea who she is.
No, I honestly, I don't know who she is. However, he said he's only had one person, her, on his podcast twice, and it was just like so poignant. I was like, I even like did like a little screen record, sent it to you guys, and I was like, man, she is so good. But like, I don't know, like I feel like once he contacts us, me, get to be on his show.
once he
Ed.
gets us, and then I just out the door. See ya. This is me.
Hello. No, I just know. I don't know. I listen to Ed every single day. It doesn't even. He says everything is good. I have no idea where I was going with that. That's a tangent.
Yeah, I think, this was just her make a wish, Ed. So
my plug.
I'm dying.
Kill me.
Okay. Can you give me a disease? Nothing deadly, just something that'll make me a wish. You know.
Too funny.
No,
all right, that was our thing.
So yeah, all right. Before we get into this, guys, I don't know if we mentioned it in the last one
about liking us, following us.
The big news of where we're on. Did I say it in the last one?
Oh, no.
We are on iTunes.
Finally.
And we are on Amazon Music.
I thought we were already on Amazon.
Nope. So now Alexa
Oh, yeah.
can play us.
I should say it right now. Should we say it right now and see if Alexa will pick it up?
No, because I don't want to have to deal with that sound and try to get that cut out of this.
She probably won't.
You always want to create more work for me.
I know. Well, like, and we have one in our bedroom, and, you know, like, I have, like, our pretty, like, decorative lights, you know, like the white shiny lights, and then our headboard. Well, that is our headboard, and then we have, like, our light. And it's so funny right now, because, like, last night, it's like, Alexa, turn off headboard. And this dumb bitch, she goes, do you...
Yeah. Alexa off.
And she goes, do you mean headboard or headboard? And I'm like, headboard. And she goes, what'd she say? I don't recognize it.
I don't recognize that.
Like, you gave me two freaking options.
And then
bitch.
I ask, and she's like, headboards for sale.
Would you like me to look on Amazon? No. Abort mission.
I love when she just doesn't listen.
She doesn't.
It's my favorite, though, when she doesn't listen to you and she listens to me perfectly. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because I'm nice to her.
Oh, you say thank you.
I say thank you every time.
There's nobody in there. You don't need. Why do you say thank you?
Because eventually they're going to take over the world, and they'll be like, no, spare him.
Because he's got polite. Because he's nice.
He's nice.
He's so nice. You know, I just heard, this is actually quite interesting, that they are doing 3D modeling of houses now. So, like, literally, like, no job. Like, a lot of the jobs are going to be taken by AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're fucked.
No, you guys are fucked. I've been polite.
That's it, huh?
Give him a job.
Well, I already think that they have robot hairdressers. I do think so.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, they have a robot thing where you can go and get your eyelashes done.
What was that thing from the 60s where you put the cap over your head?
The 60s? No, that was not the cap. You're talking the Floby. But somebody still had to do it.
I remember the Floby, but they used to have like a cap that you go on and like sucked your hair out.
Okay, that's funny because your sister is a hairdresser, and so you probably saw in her book our first permanent wave thing, and it looked like you were in the electric chair.
Yeah,
and yeah, it was crazy. Like I went to school and I was like, "This is what we're learning." Yeah, that was the first one, but you were hooked up to like an electric thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't have those. So
yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten farther than that.
I know. So it's
Especially,
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially what were you going to say?
Eventually it's going to be like a freaking vending machine. I want B12. All right, sit down. Goes over. Done.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's happening in my work, too. I mean, we're getting the freaking robot lawn mowing machines and all that.
I have a couple clients that have that. They say you don't get clean lines, nothing.
No, it looks like shit. It's terrible. Everybody that talks about it, they're like, oh, that's got to be awesome. I never have to mow again. I'm like, yeah, but your yard looks fucking terrible.
Right. Well, it's like the Shark or the iRobot or whatever we have like in the house. Like it doesn't leave line. It goes like, it just hits something. It goes like ding, ding. Like it doesn't do a thorough job.
No.
By the way, I think I need a new battery for that. It's not working.
Okay.
That's why I swept today. So if you're thinking of Christmas gifts for me, or just give me a new battery. Probably.
Should have mentioned it. No, so it's already done, so... I've been a good boy.
Be a good boy later. But bump. Ow!
I use those buttons so much with us. I never get to use them with
Roddy. Okay, the two comedians don't even get that.
No, because we do virtual, so he doesn't get to hear it.
Oh,
so it's kind of like, and then he'll talk over it. And I'm like, you kind of ruined it.
Right. Yeah. So that is funny.
But yeah, anyways, guys, go listen wherever you listen. Give us a like, a share, a comment. It's helping a lot.
Give us a plug.
Give us all you can. Share whatever we post, because I know we're not posting a lot, but share whatever we post.
It is.
Big time.
And tell us what else you guys are interested in.
And, even comment, Ed Milet on the bottom.
Absolutely. Ed Milet, Lewis Howes, Sarah Centrella. Those are like some of my favorites. We got Rogan. We got the Two Bears. Yeah.
Two Bears. Your Mom's House for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But also give us some ideas, people. We've talked to lifestyle experts, lifestyle, bada bing, bada boom. We've now talked to a therapist. We talked to my family about the fires. We've had a couple other people on. We kind of talked on our own, but give us some ideas, because this is like your podcast. So we want to make sure that we're delivering what y'all want.
Your word.
There you go. So drop us a hint or give us something. Throw us a freaking bone.
Throw us a freaking bone.
All right. Well, I think we need to finish this up.
So because this is definitely going longer than.
And I'm hungry.
Right. So, Mikey, we're gonna make you happy because we're still gonna finish with a pickup.
Yes. Can I go first? Because ladies first. Okay. So, being that it's Christmas, mine is it's really cute, and it says "Send me a selfie so I can show Santa what I want for Christmas." And then I got this off of Pinterest, and it shows this cute little emoji with Santa Claus. So anyway, it's kind of cute.
What was yours again? Hold up.
Oh, hold up.
Hold up.
Wait.
Let me tie your shoe.
Oh.
Because I don't want you falling for anyone else.
Aww. I all of a sudden was looking at my shoe. That's so cute, babe. I got all turned up. Turned up for what?
So, okay. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Liz, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, Liz.
Go check us out. Oh. Go check out the website.
Oh, we updated it.
We updated it. Yeah. We made it look a little fancier.
I think it's really good. I think you're going to love it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Looks good.
And then give us some ideas.
There was a lot of fights and arguments and all that on getting it done. So,
and then you squirreled away with your tail between your legs, and I won.
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right. Just kidding. It actually looks great, guys. So go check it out. All right, guys. Well.
Yeah, we're done. Peace out, Scout.
Bye.